What is going on, everybody? It's KB. Before the episode starts, make sure you go check out StreamerSZN's brand new theme music. That's right. We have full-time, brand new theme music thanks to the newest homie and newest member of the music side of Underground Sports Philadelphia homies. That is Mobley. Stay Volk. His new single is out now. It is linked in the description on YouTube, and you'll be hearing it on audio until we can figure out if we can play it on video on StreamerSZN episodes from here on out. That's our new theme music. Stay Volk. Go download it now wherever you get your music, and go check out the music video on YouTube. But now, let's get into the episode of StreamerSZN.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Nothing like an acid trip without acid at 8:30 at night, boys.
Smilex, baby.
What is going on, fellow streamers? Welcome back to another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB, it's Dylan, it's Christian. We are back, and we have another week-by-week show that we're breaking down. We have our spoiler-free review of Hunter Season 2. We figured, since it is one of those shows that came out all at once, not everybody's had a chance to dive into all 8 episodes just yet, or you've never seen Hunters, and you're catching up watching Season 1, so we're going to give our spoiler-free review of Season 2. Working on getting Dom on the pod once he watches Season 2 and kind of running it back. Old school StreamerSZN from our first episode, so we're going to keep you guys posted on that as well. Plus, we'll get into everybody's favorite segment, the streaming platform Multiverse News and Notes. But before we get started, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram. Follow Christian on Twitter at @TheWiz_PHI. Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Just found out Dylan will enjoy this. 10% of our listening audience is from north of the border up in Canada, eh? So we're growing a little bit in Canada as a network. Obviously, we have a big following there from OTB as well, but shout out to our Canadian listeners. But Dylan, on the podcast reviews, what should they be doing? Say the line for the people.
The line. No, I say it all the time. You guys should be leaving in the reviews in the comment section of YouTube, wherever you can leave, either. Should be leaving us recommendations on what to watch next. We are obviously doing the 2 shows Kyle laid out in front of us, but there are tons of things that we can cover via shows and movies, so let us know.
Yeah, and it's going to be a while before we have, Star Wars or Marvel back on the docket. Star Wars isn't truly coming back for us full-blown until March 1st. We'll get into the Mandalorian trailer later on in the show, plus some news from Season 3 there as well. But we don't even know when, Secret Invasion is coming out. So we got time. We got time to watch some stuff along with The Last of Us. So let us know your movie and show recommendations. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. That's where you get full video episodes of StreamerSZN plus all of our podcasts on the network. You get clips, you get shorts, exclusive content like interviews, live streams. It's all on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. We're at 358 subscribers right now. Truly feel like we can hit that 400 mark by the end of the month. I still think it's possible, as long as you guys go subscribe. Smash that like button, ring the bell icon. You can also leave show and movie recommendations in the comment section. And of course, let us know your thoughts on everything we break down on this episode. And make sure you guys go get your merch. It's the quickest, easiest, most effective and direct way to support everything we're doing here at Underground Sports from our friends at PHI Apparel Company. You guys, they're the best in the game. Any design we submit to them, they're putting it up as quickly as possible for us, and hoodies are in stock. StreamerSZN hoodies, I can't wait for mine to come in. I'm going to wear that to the movie theater. I'm going to wear it when I'm binging my favorite shows and movies right here at home, wherever I'm at. That hoodie is one of the cleanest hoodies I've seen, and I'm not just saying that because we created it. You guys can go to phiapparel.co and use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off any and all merch orders at any time And especially if you get, Underground Sports Philadelphia merch from any of our podcasts, it truly does go a long way and is the most effective way to support everything we're doing here. So go get your merch, phiapparel.co. Use code Underground for 10% off your order. Fellas, The Last of Us, Episode 1. We have that HBO Max, appointment viewing show once again. And we're going to dive into Episode 1 of The Last of Us here on this episode, and then kind of give our thoughts on where we think it could go forward, for the season that is. 81-minute runtime for this opening episode, which is, I think, a bold move. But I think for the most part, they did it really well. But our Last of Us Episode 1 breakdown is brought to you by a new sponsor, guys. Our friends at Dubby Energy. Very excited about this partnership. Dubby is, you see these energy drinks and everything out there claiming they're jitter-free and crash-free and everything. Well, Dubby truly is all of that and then some. They're unique because I'm gonna list this off, and Dylan's gonna get really excited about this. What makes Dubby so unique? They've spent a lot of time, guys, formulating their recipe and only included vitamins and nootropics that benefit cognitive performance. And the star of the show is Neurofactor, which is a natural and patented ingredient that comes from high-quality ripe coffee cherries. It has actually been shown in clinical studies to boost brain performance. In addition, Dubby is sugar-free, 0 calories, maltodextrin-free, and has 0 artificial coloring. It's got the caffeine of about 2 cups of coffee in it. You can obviously, temper that or add to it if need be. But I'm going to read off some of these delicious flavors that they have on their website. They are also going to war on Big Energy, so you can check out their War on Big Energy merch and everything on their website as well. But they have Big Energy Tears, which is that blue raspberry flavor, which everybody knows. Typically, the blue flavor is the go-to. I saw somebody on Twitter say that it is essentially like drinking a blue icy without the brain freeze. So have at it there. They have Dragonade, which is dragon fruit and pink strawberry lemonade. They have Dub Sludge, which is Granny Smith apple and secret sauce. They have Passion Joy Tea, which is crisp passion fruit iced tea. They've got Push and Punch for those that are Push and Pee. It's Dubby Fruit Punch and Lemon Lime. They've got Beach and Peach, which is Mango White Peach Cooler. And unfortunately, it's sold out right now, but when it is back in stock, the Galaxy Grenade, which is watermelon, guava, and lime.
I'm acting like this if you're watching live or recorded because I just pulled it up and I wanted to buy that one.
And then for the people that are looking to go caffeine-free, maybe you just kind of need that flavoring and everything, trying to kick the caffeine but get that Neurofactor in you. They've got Monkey Madness, which is strawberry and banana. They've also got shakers on their website. It's currently sold out, but they've had their Dubby tree plant initiative where last year they planted 950 trees in California for all the shakers that were purchased there. They've got awesome merch as well, so go to dubby.gg and use code Underground to get 10% off your order. Very affordable stuff. I was talking to some people that go to your typical supplement stores and things, and they said this is cheaper than some of the stuff that's sold there, and for much better quality and better for you. So very excited to welcome Dubby to the Underground family of sponsors and partners. So go to dubby.gg, use code Underground for 10% off your order.
Them big dubs.
Them big tubs.
Kyle's not lying. As someone who is into fitness and has gone to the vitamin shop and nutrition centers, you can easily spend $100 and only walk away with 2 tubs. So the fact that this is a reasonable price point for something that will definitely give you a boost, whether you're using it for the gym or for just life purposes, trying to stay awake in the office. I haven't even had this product yet. I didn't even know it was a thing, but I'm already very intrigued. So I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, we're going to get some for the studio here, and we're going to get some out to everybody who may not be in studio per se, but very excited to have them on board with us. And they are sponsoring our Last of Us segment here. So, guys, The Last of Us Episode 1, When You're Lost in the Darkness, is the title of this one. What are your initial thoughts on this show from what we saw, obviously, Dylan, you've played the video game too, so you have that extra boosted knowledge of kind of comparing them. So I'll start with you, Dylan. Your thoughts overall on the show before we get into a deeper breakdown.
So they changed one thing, and I'll go over it when we get to it. But like, they changed it to a point where I'm watching the scene, and I'm like, okay, it's not gonna happen, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, this is not what I expected. But it's a good kind of like reaction, and I think when as a show or a movie, etc., cartoon, whatever you want to say, when you take some different liberties and you nail them on the head, I think it makes it that much more enjoyable because you're almost fooling everyone in a good way who knows what's going to happen. Like myself and the millions of other people who played the game and beat it, or at least started it, or watched it on YouTube and stuff. Like, we have an idea of what's going to happen. And the fact that they changed a couple of things, you're like, whoa. But they also, I just love it for the fact that there are several scenes where if you look it up, they basically go word for word with dialogue. And they match a lot of the shirts, and they make even the props and the settings look similar. So far, being very faithful, and it's holding up well for a video game adaptation.
Christian, your thoughts? Being the resident expert on everything for this show, for this podcast, what were your thoughts on kind of a new HBO appointment viewing thing? We talked about it last week. HBO has those moments, and you said full blown this could be one of your top 2 shows of the year after episode 1. Do you think it's living up to that standard so far?
Fuck yes. So this will divulge likely into a larger rant from me, but this is exactly what we should get. It is insanely high craft. It's very faithful to its source material. It's great actors. Funny enough, both the leads were on Game of Thrones, but we can unpack that at a different time. And it's a show that makes you realize how badly the likes of Sony and Paramount failed with Uncharted and the Paramount Plus Halo series, because you just watch simple stuff. When that kid is walking into Boston after the time jump, it looks real. It looks great. It looks amazing. It doesn't look flat. Compare that to Uncharted that has so much super flat green screen stuff, and it doesn't feel like the same thing at all. And it's another prime example of why HBO's the best at television, hands down, simply put, because they invest money, they invest talent, and they don't overdo it with that many shows.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get this insanely well-crafted piece of art. And let's not forget that the person who's the showrunner of the show and who has written all but one episode was the guy who's the showrunner of one of the best limited series, if not the best limited series ever, Chernobyl. And the only episode he is not writing, guess who's writing it?
Mm-hmm.
Neil Druckmann.
That's not a bad fault.
Also known as one of the people who worked on the Last of Us game. So this is very much a series very much a series that from start to finish knows that we are doing this game justice. We are putting everything into it. They're spending as much, if not more, there was a report a while back, money per episode as Game of Thrones. They're spending buckets of money on this, and it's clear. And it's clear they care. And that's why this is so great. Because, and we'll get into it, even though the truck scene was straight out the video game, right? Well, most of it was, right, Dylan?
A little bit changes.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so wound tight. It's It's amazing.
It sucks you in, right? Because you're just there is the best way to describe it, in my opinion. Like, I just felt like I'm in the car. I don't know. Like,
It is it is not Tom Holland on a green screen hanging out the back of a plane with his foot stuck in netting. It's it's tactical. You can feel it. The tension's wound up. It's amazing. And this is what we want from TV. This is what we get from good TV. This is what we get from good movies, not from cash grab cash grab bullshit that we get from 90% of video game adaptations. Like, no offense to Mortal Kombat, but that movie was dog shit.
the newer one?
No offense to Uncharted the game, but that movie was dog shit. Like, and this is something I've said for a while, just to kind of wrap up my mini rant. I would love to see someone who has great talent and is proven adapt the Life is Strange game series, because that could be really good.
That's a good call.
It's not super basic, but it's also about it's also like a sci-fi coming of age thing, which, Kyle, if you don't know what that is, I suggest you look it up because it's really cool. And that's another good show that to me has great potential for a narrative series. And I feel like
that's a good one, Christian.
Thank you. And I feel like if The Last of Us hits well and people see what it takes to make a good video game series, that we may get some of these more narrative games adapted. Like, forget Red Dead Redemption, that's an open world game, there's not that much story. Forget GTA. Go to these story games that have evolved over time. Don't just do the Resident Evil franchise because you've done that. It's meh. Sure. Go for these well-known story games. And that's, if you put the care, if you put the love, if you put the talent there, you're going to have something likely good.
Give me a Legend of Zelda series.
While we're saying games, Christian, did you ever play the game? It's like it's older now. It's called like Alan Wake. That would be a good TV series or movies. It's about like an author that like his stuff came alive. Basically, it's weird.
One game that would never be adapted into anything, but I think would be hilarious, is the Stanley Parable.
Yeah.
Don't you know what that is?
Yeah.
Tell me.
That would be good.
Like, just if you just did it as like a half-hour show, and you did through each of the, and you did one episode through each of these scenarios, that would be hilarious. Like, it would, and plus you wouldn't have to invest that much money because most of it's set in the office, so you just have to find an abandoned office building.
Yeah.
And to clarify on the budget for The Last of Us 2, sources suggested that it's between 10 and 15 million per episode US dollar, and the New Yorker claimed it exceeded the first 5 seasons of Game of Thrones.
And let's just make something clear on that, Kyle. It's The Last of Us TOO, not The Last of Us 2.
Correct. And it's expected to generate over 200 million Canadian dollars as well, because it was shot.
Don't you know, eh?
That's important.
I think, my initial takes from this show, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done. And like you guys said, like, you kind of get immersed into the show. And it's the first time I think I've experienced, like, watching a show or movie that is adapted from a video game, that when you're watching it, you feel like you're actually playing the game, almost, in a sense, where it's like you get put into the setting and you almost feel like you're playing along with what's being told in the show, which I think is fucking awesome. I think it was bold for the 81-minute runtime. Do I think they could have gone a little shorter? Maybe. I think overall, though, they did a decent job of sticking the landing of a lengthier premiere. Did you guys feel like it was too long, or?
I think it was perfectly timed in terms of. I told you off camera, Kyle. I think they had to do it longer because they got the initial backstory out of the way. If you haven't watched it yet, blah 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 blah. Okay, but we watched a certain character die, and we also got the awesome. The actor from the Mummy series, I forget his name. We got him describe the virus in the 60s, which I thought was awesome. It sets the eerie tone early, and then it cuts to 2003, and I'm like, oh my God, we're George W. Bush era.
George W.
But no, it just it was cool. That's all. I think it was needed. It explained the beginning of the game, but also for the show purposes, it's the beginning of the show. It was needed.
But so do you know the story about why it's as long as it is?
I think it made sense for sure. I just saw Eric Voss did a really good Easter egg breakdown on New Rockstars about episode 1, and he pointed out that the showrunners and directors said that the initial stop time for the episode was going to be when Pedro Pascal's character threw the kid into the fire.
It was originally supposed to be 2 episodes, which is why it's 9 instead of 10. And obviously, Warner Brothers and HBO were kind of like, should we show Ellie in the first episode and not have 2 dead kids in the span of 5 minutes to end this episode?
Yeah, and then they said they were kind of world building more as they went along, and they felt it made more sense to make it longer. So I totally understand where that was coming. It would have been eerie and fucking gut wrenching if throwing homeboy in the fire was the ending of the episode.
My girlfriend was like, "Oh my God," and I was like, "Oh my God, that's right. This is nuts."
See, I don't have a problem with depressing stuff like that. That may be a little psychotic. I will fully admit that. But you're talking to someone who loves shows and movies that are kind of looking at the dark side of things. People.
You made me watch Barbarian.
Yeah, there's people who still refuse to watch Chernobyl or get an episode 2 in because it's so depressing. And the people who made Chernobyl made this. So this is your warning. This is no. Yes, there's some heart to it and all this, but this is gonna be a brutal world, guys. Yes. Grow up.
Very world. Joel's not a good person. So if you're watching, he's not a good guy. Let's just also get that clear. Sorry.
Did you guys get the way I did massive Game of Thrones vibes from the opening credits?
Yeah, someone said.
I like that.
I think my brother, when we were watching it, he was like, dude, it's like Game of Thrones, but zombies.
Forget about the opening credits. The opening scene.
It was great, dude.
Yeah.
I love the talk show vibe.
Yeah, the talk show, obviously not in the game, but I think that helped improve kind of the delivery of this episode, and it kind of sets the tone.
It's exposition done well, because with the way they already do multiple time jumps, it's a good way to use exposition, but use it in a way that it doesn't feel like, oh, we're just handing you this exposition here, because it's subtly talking about COVID. But then being like, see, viruses aren't the real threat. Fungi are. And this is why. Takes hit of blunt. And then off we go.
Yeah, and I think everybody, the people involved with the show, kind of know that the viewers are going to have, that edginess to them and their guard up when you talk about a virus, when you talk about somebody coughing, early symptoms and stuff like that. We're going to be on edge when we're watching that because obviously we've all been dealing with that for the last 3 years. So
even edgier when you realize that cordyceps is a very real thing in real life, and it very well has infected thousands or millions of insects at this point. So that makes it even more terrifying when you have a talk.
Yeah. I think too, with the jump from 1968 to 2003, Dylan and I were talking about this a little bit off camera. I think they did a really solid job of like the adaptation of the time period, like the Destiny's Child poster in Sarah's room, the 2002 tour concert shirt she was wearing, the George W. Bush picture in the classroom, obviously. The flip phone was great. Like, they did a really solid job of like the adaptation of what 2003 was like.
They did a solid job with that, and just foreshadowing and giving like crumbs as people, like leaving crumbs. Like from the very beginning, the reason why she buys the watch, I had to pause it for a second because I thought it was the way Pedro Pascal. He goes and looks at his wrist. I don't know if you guys caught this, and that's why he slaps his hand and then takes out his phone, because his watch used to be there and it's broken. So like they foreshadowed literally so much in such a beautiful way. It flowed very well. Like it just felt well paced for me, and I just enjoyed every second, which is not something that happens often for me for TV shows.
Yeah, and bringing me back to 2003 was a time.
I felt like I was there, dude. Like there was a lot of things.
Having been there, I definitely felt like I was there.
And like they're talking about like making breakfast, and I was like, "Yo, this is the vibe. It's how it was before school. Parents make you breakfast and stuff." You got older, and it was like, "All right, you're good. Get on the bus."
You guys saw the theory about why they didn't have flour, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll catch on more about that, but it's a nice subtle thing that they have there, that it's there if you want it, but if you don't want it, you don't have to pay attention to it.
100%. And I mean, we talked about this too, like in the video game, it's set, the 2003 time era is set in 2013. So I mean, that also I think was a smart choice by the showrunners to kind of kick it back a little bit further, because I think that helps more so in a TV standpoint than it does from a video game standpoint. So I like that as well.
It helps the vibe of the apocalyptic setting, because like you're going from a time period in 2003 where like tech was starting to advance, but it also was a while ago when you think about it. So like it's predated. So when you jump forward, like it just feels more significant. If it was like 2013, it would feel, besides a couple of things, it would feel similar to today. Because 2013, there was very much iPhones and tablets and et cetera. So it wouldn't feel that different. 2003, like, that's something we haven't been in a while. So yeah, cool to go back and then go forward.
We still had dial-up back then.
Yeah, that's ancient times, brother.
Prodigy.net was a thing. But yeah, in 2003, like we see like kind of Joel's family and the vibe in Texas and everything. The vibe in Texas. And Sarah goes and gets that watch fixed, and then you kind of see the panic set on from the shop owner's wife and everything, getting that phone call from her family.
Zombie in the language she was speaking, by the way. It's crazy.
Yeah. So it was kind of that, initial start of widespread panic, and we got to get everybody out of here. It's going to be bad. And it was like, Jesus Christ, I feel like I'm like reliving shit from the last 3 years again.
It was nuts. There were so many things. Did you guys catch that one kid in their class like awkwardly twitching too?
Yeah, which they said the twitching is like an early symptom.
Okay.
Because you see him twitching, and then later on, in the 20-year time jump, you see that soldier kind of twitching with his hand on the gun and everything.
Lest we forget about as we learn later on in the episode, the grandmother when she's picking out grandmother, the mother of their neighbor, picking out the film, and she's just straight out of what was it? Straight out of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers remake in the 70s or 80s.
It was such nightmare fuel.
The poor dog was like, "Girl, you don't want to go in there. I'm telling you. Stop dragging
Don't go in the house. God damn it."
And like I saw Eric Voss also compared like her twitching because they kept it out of focus too, which I think was like such a minor detail, but it made it that much more emphasized.
Great horror
Well
tactic.
done. Eric Voss compared it to either the mother or the grandmother in It Chapter 2, who's in the back and like starts like convulsing and everything in the background and stuff. I was like, that's a great comp.
It is a great comp.
But yeah, the grandma was fucking terrifying. Like I was like sitting on my couch, I was like, thank God I did not watch this at night because I'd be fucking done for.
You knew, dude. The second Granny rolled up, or well, I guess got rolled up, got pushed up. You knew she was going to be one of the first infected. You see, it's like such a good trope. I'm not complaining. Where like old people always make really creepy like zombies.
They did it in Stranger Things 3 with
Yeah.
the old woman like getting infected by the sludge.
They do it in Stranger Things. One of my favorite examples. Not a great movie. Did you guys ever see Legion?
Yeah.
Old lady at the diner is like, "You're gonna die!" Like so it's a thing that keeps happening, and it makes you uncomfortable every time.
100%. And then obviously, as Joel, Tommy, and Sarah flee through the crowds of terrified people, debris crashes down from that airplane, and that just comes out of nowhere.
Talking about the game, it's a car crash. So they're nearly getting a car crash. That's why anyone who played the game, you were like, "Oh, they're gonna change it." Maybe you were like jaded or like surprised, and then they were like, "No, I directed Chernobyl, or I'm gonna have a plane crash into your small Texas town. How about them apples?"
Yeah, no big deal. It's 2003, just 2 years post 9/11.
I didn't even think about that. Okay, well that makes it even.
I was like, good grief. The crashed airplane strikes and it overturns Tommy's truck. Joel tries to run for the river with Sarah, but is concerned by cornered by an armed soldier who shoots at them. Tommy kills the soldier, but Sarah's fatally wounded and dies in Joel's arms. And I think they did the smart tactic too with Sarah's death, where it cuts back to Tommy, and then you kind of just go back to, you don't necessarily see the actual point of death of Sarah until they kind of fade out to the next time jump, which I think was a really nice touch to, humanize it almost.
I think it makes it more heartbreaking. I agree, because you could see Tommy kind of realizes on the actor's face that like she's not going to make it, and the way he says Joel is indicated that like he realizes, you know what I mean? But it makes it that much more tragic. I liked it. Well, I didn't like. I mean,
and I liked. I don't know if you guys watched the after show thing that they do on HBO. I like the way that they kind of explained the death and everything. It's like the way that the actor, where is it?
The actor is Gabriel Luna for Tommy.
Sarah, Nico Parker.
Okay.
The way that like you can't help but get attached to her character because of how she's portrayed. She's like almost the protagonist is how they described it. And then it's The Last of Us. It's, it's in the title. Like somebody's people are going to die. So you can't get too attached. And it like helps kind of drive home that point of like grief and sorrow and everything, because it's like, damn, like I fucking love this character, but off the rip, they're going to, wash us away with her from the entire show, and now we got to move forward.
Yeah, because you play as her when you start off the game, so I think that's they definitely, you obviously can't play as her in the show, but it's impossible. But I think they do a good job because they give her quite a few scenes where she's by herself. Like it's interesting because the apocalypse zombie movies, right? It's always like the same like textbook things, but this is the first time we kind of saw an apocalypse through the eyes of a child starting. Thinking about it,
Yeah.
like that. You know what I mean? Like this is a kid hearing like explosions and screaming and seeing dead bodies and watching her dad hit an old lady with a wrench. You know what I mean? She's like, what's going on here? And she saw a lot more. So I think that's to me is the most interesting part, and that's why I like the game/show adaptation, because it's so different. It takes something that's been done a bunch of times, like zombie apocalypse, but it puts that child spin on it, and then it also sets the background for how depressing and depressed Joel will always be.
Speaking of the after behind the scenes thing, Kyle, how about that Merle Dandridge quote? when
Loved it.
mommy
Mommy
won.
won. It's great. She's awesome.
It sent me howling. I'm like,
Oh, I loved it. It's like, yes, mommy, yes. And then in recent HBO television canon, we have another time jump. 20 years into what is our present day, 2023.
well, is it our present day? Because it's not snowing in Boston. So is it like summer through 2023? So it's in the future. But
True. Didn't see Jeremy Renner or anybody from the town there either. So then 20 years later in 2023, after the global pandemic of the cordyceps fungi has devastated human civilization, Joel lives in a military quarantine zone based in the ruins of Boston, Massachusetts, probably on Fenway Park, if I had to guess, managed by the Federal Disaster Response Agency, aka FEDRA, which for everybody at home, that's kind of in the game. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dylan. They are like, you know, the response unit, but then they kind of become like the government in a sense.
They become. It's one of those things. You're 100% right. It's just how you view it when you play the game. Because like, there's no inherently evil, but there's no inherently good. So it's like they do bad things, but so do the Fireflies. You know what I mean? So it's like pick your poison.
Speaking of Boston, I was listening to some people talk about it, and it's kind of funny if you think about it because it happened in 2003. The Red Sox would have never won the World Series, and the Patriots would only have one Super Bowl.
I didn't think about that.
So that would explain why they're all miserable all miserable in Boston, and plus they wouldn't have that 2008 title either.
The sign kid doesn't exist at the parade.
I think we found the social media clip, Kyle.
Sign kid of I've seen 16 major championships and I'm 15 years old doesn't exist. Oh Christ, that's fucking incredible. The Bruins never win the Stanley Cup.
Good.
Oh, that's amazing. That's unbelievable.
No wonder why they're all so crappy there.
What? The zombie apocalypse not so bad.
That's unreal.
We don't have to listen to Boston fans continuously talk about titles.
Dude, that's
except if they were Celtics fans.
I'm making a shirt for the show. Team Fungi. Let's go, baby. Mushrooms.
Oh shit. It's just the fucking Mario mushroom.
Team Shrooms, baby. Let's see it.
Oh wait, social.
I don't know if I can say that.
Doom shrooms. That's unbelievable. So then Joel and his partner Tess support themselves by smuggling and selling contraband to civilians and soldiers. And like we mentioned, like you saw that one soldier like with that early, twitch in his hand while he's, tapping on his gun. And that's why he's so, fiend-like to get everything from Pedro Pascal.
He's also a drug whore. But...
Yeah, 100%. So Joel plans to leave the zone for Wyoming in search of Tommy, with whom he lost contact several weeks ago. Joel and Tess purchase a car battery from Robert, played by Brendan Fletcher, a local trader, but he gets double-crossed when the battery is instead sold to the Fireflies, a resistance group fighting against Fedra. Attempting to retrieve it, they find the deal is going awry, and the Fireflies' wounded leader, Merle Dandridge, Mommy, begs Joel and Tess to take young Ellie, played by Bella Ramsey, who people, if you've seen Game of Thrones, you've seen her on Game of Thrones, to the old state house and hand her off to the Fireflies in exchange for supplies, including a truck to help Joel find Tommy. Joel and Tess accept the job. As curfew begins, the trio wait until nightfall to leave the quarantine zone. They are caught by a soldier and forced to comply with an infection check while Joel and Tess try to bargain with the soldier. Ellie stabs him in the leg. The The soldier threatens to shoot Ellie, reminding Joel of Sarah's death. He loses his temper and beats the ever-living shit out of the soldier to death. The scanner reveals Ellie is infected, but she promises she has not turned since she was infected 3 weeks earlier. Joel, Tess, and Ellie enter a biological contamination area in Boston's commercial district to flee the pursuing Fedra soldiers. And I like the other breakdown they did on the after show thing, kind of showing the parallels but differences between Sarah and Ellie, where Sarah was like taken aback that Joel was, killing these people. They were humans and, had that compassion to her. But Ellie like fucking was like, yes, yes, yes. And like enjoyed seeing somebody stand up for her and, defend her. So while there are similarities, there are differences between those two characters. So I like that, kind of analysis there from the showrunners.
Dude,
To circle back to something Dylan said earlier, were you referring to that change being the part where Pedro Pascal beats the ever-living shit out of the guy instead of shooting him?
yeah, so that and the plane crash were the most notable changes. So I was referring to both of them. Yeah. I was also pissed at that part because you played the game, you realize you don't get an assault rifle till the very end of the game. Pedro Pascal gets one episode 1. What the fuck, HBO? Huh? I had to work hours for. No, I'm kidding. That's just me being asked. But no, it was funny. I thought that was a trending thing. People who played the game were like, "This is bullshit. We had to wait days for that."
Kyle,
gets off
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fuck you. Iconic.
Oh, it was great.
You got so concerned there.
I was like, huh?
I was concerned too because I forgot that scene for a second. I was like, "What is he counting?"
Iconic. Just iconic.
Overall, I think a very solid opening episode to kind of, get everybody's feet wet, kind of get a lay of the land for where this is going to go. I forget how many episodes they said this is going to be.
9, right?
9, yes. So we got 8 more.
They can stop after 9. The second game doesn't count. It's not real, so we can stop at 1.
Now here's my thing. From what we saw in this first episode of we'll call it season 1, do you think they could improve upon the second game with a show adaptation to continue along?
I can't say anything because to give something away that's
fair,
really important. But
okay,
no,
okay.
Second game is not Second game is very controversial. You either like it or you hate it. The first game is like considered like.
We'll save that for the finale episode then.
Yeah, no, but the first game is considered like a masterpiece. Like it's like one of those games that if you listed top whatever games, it's on there. I'm gonna be on most or everyone's list. Second one, while it's very fun, the storyline's kind of like, whoa.
I'm gonna try to do this to help my activity on Instagram be a little more active. I did put on my Instagram story like send in like theories, thoughts, questions about it. I did get one submitted here, and Dylan, this probably is more directed towards you. But do you need to know the video game to watch the show?
No. Not at all. No.
I agree. I don't think you do at all.
Better if you don't know the video game because then you're not going to know what's going to happen. And there are some twists and some turns and some character development that you probably won't see coming. And that's important. So good for you, whoever you are, that you're blind. Also,
is a similar principle to not reading a book before the movie comes out. Because,
Fair.
Story, I read the first half of Dune before Dune Part 1 came out. And I was kind of sad because they cut some really good scenes. I'm like, no, this could have been great. So generally, I'm of the point of view of, and that you're better off just going cold into anything. So.
Yeah, because if you like the movie, then you can go read the book. Like, a great example as well, Christian. I read The Hobbit probably 10 times, and then I saw the movies and I threw up because they left out so much that me and anyone else who read The Hobbit, you were like, what the actual heck? And I can make a whole video about that. But point is, yes, I full-heartedly agree with that. And I wanted to ask, did you guys catch the zombie at the end of the show?
Yeah.
That's the sound sensitive boys. They're called
Oh,
which
I
but the show,
heard it.
sorry,
I didn't see it.
Yeah, it loosely pan. It's like on top of a building. I was just gonna say, since they're so sound sensitive, they probably thunderstorms are probably a real bitch for them because they're like, whoa, what is all this noise?
Duck and cover.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I thought overall like it was really like I think the one word I would use to describe the first episode is immersion. Like you get immersed into the scenarios, the setting with the characters, and you feel like you're kind of in the show for a part of it. And I really enjoyed that experience from it, especially with it being a video game adaptation. Which we're gonna get to our reviews here in just a minute. But any final thoughts from you guys on episode 1? Where do you think we could go from here, having seen what we have seen so far?
We're just
Going to Frank.
gonna go up. that's all I can say.
From what I've heard, what is it? From what I've heard, it's the third episode's the other really big one.
That's what I saw today on Twitter too, from the people that have gotten screeners.
Bring it on, baby.
Yeah, we're gonna meet some new characters if they follow the game by then. We'll have a couple new characters. We should meet a person named Sam.
So yeah, we're excited for this. We're gonna be breaking down The Last of Us each and every week for the next 9 weeks now on the show. But we're gonna go a little old school here. I'm gonna have you guys go based off the Rotten Tomatoes rankings, try to guess their overall scores, and then we'll give our scores as well. So this is when you're lost in the darkness for episode 1 of The Last of Us. It has an approval rating of blank based on 29 reviews with an average rating of blank out of 10.
Isn't it like a 98?
I was gonna say like 94%, and then for numerical, I would go like 9.1 out of 10, 9.2. Mm-hmm.
So for the article I have in front of me right now, it still says it's at 100%.
Okay.
And it's on it with the 29 reviews. It's an average rating of 8.9 out of 10. Okay. Which brings us to our reviews. Christian, I'll start with you. Your score for episode 1 of The Last of Us.
10. I'm like, I don't think there's a better way you can intro this. Like, I don't think there's anything else they could have done. Like, I have no qualms. It has some great scenes. It's so well crafted. Like, I don't have qualms at all. Like, it wasn't too slow. It wasn't like it's perfect. Perfect intro. Congrats, guys.
Yeah.
That's the first 10 of the year on any episode. We'll see if it sticks for the shows itself, but we get a 10 off rip here in 2023. Dylan, your score.
I was going to go high, too. I was going to go a little bit lower than 10, just in case another one blows my socks off. I was going to go like 9.5 just in case like something else is better. And if they follow the game, episode 3 or 5 will be a 10 for me. So, but yeah, no, it was incredible. What Christian said, same as me. I agree across the board. It's great.
Yeah, I think it was spectacularly done. Like I said, the immersion, the casting is really well put together, and like Dylan said, they followed pretty much the entire script, scene by scene from the video game. So that's also a big plus. I'm gonna ride with Dylan. I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
This is the highest rated thing ever, I think.
Obviously, it's a 1 episode, so we got to see where it stands after all 9 episodes are done. But 29 divided by 3 is 9.6, and a whole bunch more 6 is 7, so that rounds up to a 9.7 for episode 1 of The Last of Us. Quite the opening rating for 2023.
Thank you, Daddy Pedro Pascal, as they say.
The Riz God, Pedro Pascal. Very excited to see where this series goes from here, and if if the hype continues, which I think we all agree it should, as long as they continue running by the video game itself as its kind of source material.
Yo, I just thought of what's the show? What's the name of the guy that hosts the show that fixes like bars? You know what I'm talking about?
John Taffer.
That's Pedro Pascal for franchises, bro. He just comes and just owns it. Like,
and then sometimes there's bars you can't save, and that's Wonder Woman 1984.
I was gonna make that joke, damn it.
But he's the best part of that movie, at least.
Valid, very valid. So let's move along from The Last of Us to Hunter Season 2, a spoiler-free review. Dylan's making his way through Season 1, but Dylan, so far, from what you've seen from Season 1, and if you haven't, watched Season 1, go do it, and then go listen to our very first episode of StreamerSZN, because it's the very first show we ever reviewed back in April of 2020. Go listen to that. Myself, Dom Ponteri, Kevin Guest on that episode. But Dylan, you said you're about 4 or 5 episodes in. What are your thoughts so far? As you're about halfway done Season 1.
Talking cryptically, but not cryptically, it's bonkers, dude. There's some crazy stuff that's gone down. There's some crazy kills that have gone down. There's some crazy killing, some good plot deposition, and it's just cool to see like that side of history. Because if you're not well versed in history, just Google like a couple town names in like Argentina and stuff, and you'll be surprised how many white German people there are there still to this day. And no coincidence, it ties into the show. So I'll leave it at that.
Season 1 is based on there's a lot that is based on true factual history. So that's also a fun aspect of it. Glad you're enjoying it. It's one of those like kind of hidden gem shows, I would say. But Season 2 came out on Friday. I went full-blown sicko mode and have watched the entire thing because they did one of those things that I think Netflix with some of their shows has done really well. I think Prime has done this with shows in the past. I think HBO does it. If you binge through shows and stuff like that, or even if you're watching it week by week, they leave you on edge. They leave you wanting more, and they kind of, drive you to keep watching. Mm-hmm. And I think Season 1 and 2 do a phenomenal job of that with Hunters, where it's like they ended on this moment where it's like, holy shit, it's 3 a.m., but I can't stop watching, so I'm going to keep going. I think they do a really, really good job of, executing that kind of, plot building and suspense level from episode to episode. I really liked for Season 2 the way that they kind of put together just a highlight reel of Season 1 to get people back up to speed, because it has been nearly 3 years since Season 1 debuted all the way back in February of 2020. Now, before we keep going with Hunters, I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this because I was talking to one of my coworkers about it, and we both felt the same with Prime. Prime Video has like these mega star type of shows, whether it's Jack Ryan, Invincible, Hunters, they've got some bangers. Mm-hmm. They'll put out a season. The marketing isn't necessarily there for a lot of them. And then it takes forever. Like, say they're going to continue going with another season, it takes forever for that next season to come out. I don't know what the cause of that is, because you got Bezos money behind you. That's true. Do you guys feel that way? Like, it feels like it takes forever for Prime to like get their next season out there, and then you kind of lose the hype train that you have behind some of these shows after they pull off phenomenal seasons like the shows we mentioned and others.
So I feel like specifically in the case of Jack Ryan, that's just a John Krasinski thing on him doing other stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's to fit that into the schedule. And plus, they film so many things abroad, and that given when the last season came out, and then you have to deal with COVID stuff and all that it's a little more of a pain. But I fully agree in terms of the marketing thing, and Apple has the same problem. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, a prime example is you and I talked about this. I adore slow horses. I only knew about Season 1 from another podcast I listened to. Season 1 got great reviews. They had already filmed Season 2 by the time the finale came out. There was no date. It was just later in 2022. I'm really talking to you before podcast. I checked my phone. The finale for season 2 was coming out the next day, and now Apple has done something to try and fix that because they hired one of the former marketing people from, I think it was Netflix. So that Apple's at least trying to improve their marketing, and to be fair, they are already more in the public knowledge because Ted Lasso, The Morning Show, etc. But the thing with Amazon is they don't have really the award shows because stuff like like Rings of Power, I believe, were they the ones who did Wheel of Time?
I think so. I'll fact check that.
It was them or Apple who did Wheel of Time, or it was Paramount. I don't know. All those three kind of just blend together for me. But they've got more niche shows,
Good work.
and they've also had more past success with other stuff.
It
like,
was prime for Wheel of Time.
Yeah, like they have the marvelous Miss Maisel, but that peaked like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
They have Fleabag, but Fleabag was being done for a long ass time. They've the thing they currently have, which is Reacher. Like there's actually been a decent turnaround on that, and they like a month or two ago were filming the next season.
Good for
So
him.
like that's gonna still have some semblance of momentum, but I think a large part in why these shows kind of lose momentum. And a great example is look at Netflix. They start and cancel so much shit, and I think it's kind of the way streaming is. It's so much buyer beware. We don't know how the audience is gonna react to this, and even though Apple and Amazon have just absurd amounts of money, what they do is they take a much slower approach. But also what Amazon has in their corners, they just have a massive IP library. Like last year they bought MGM.
Right.
Like they have an IP library to fall back on. They do stuff with Showtime, so they're not under as much pressure as someone like Amazon, Netflix, HBO, etc.
Yeah.
Even though HBO has a large back catalog,
Yeah, Amazon.
they take their time with it. Like HBO doesn't rush shows, which is a good thing. But they also are very structured in terms of it. So it's very much more of a marketing thing, and I think the world kind of shifting as the world of film production, TV production shifting as we were coming out of COVID. It took longer to film things. Like, for example, the Boys season 3 came out, or was it season 2? I don't remember this one. Came out in June.
Yeah, season 3.
Last June. They're basically spending a year filming the next season, and so it's going to be over a year and a half at most until we get that, which by TV standards, in terms of past standards, when we were in the sitcom area and it's all done in backstages, etc., is a lot. By modern standards, it's not that much. So it's more about modern film production, TV production getting back to normal, as well as being able to understand the new release structures, and just these companies have just better marketing to be able to get us to know that these shows are coming out, which means more trailers, more media hits and reviews by notable people to get people interested in the show, etc.
Yeah, and I'll say, like, the Hunters official social media account, one of the best, I think, in terms of just interaction with the fans watching their show. Like, anytime you tweet at Hunters on Prime, I'd say like 8 times out of 10, they're retweeting your tweet. And I think that's a positive for certain shows. Like, you can't do it for, the Marvel stuff and things like that, but like there's certain shows that are kind of like a Hunters or stuff like that, where like you're getting the fan interaction, the fan like unfiltered rankings pretty much of your show and putting it out there on your official social media platform. I think that's smart by them. So I think that's a benefit that they, have for themselves, is they're using their fans to help market them as well. Because I think Hunters is one of those shows that is like one of those hidden gem type of things that it's on Prime Video. Not a lot of people truly know about it, but I think they've done a phenomenal job with both seasons in so many aspects that I wish it wasn't the final season for season 2 being that for Hunters, because I genuinely think, spoiler, zero context, they could have gone 3 or 4 seasons with the show, the way that season 2 comes to a close. I like the way season 2 picked up from season 1. They left, a lot of tension between the characters, and you kind of are left wondering why are they like this? Why are they kind of, led astray from one another? Why are they estranged? And then they drop a big bomb on you about halfway through the season, and it makes a lot more sense on why some things happen. There's a lot of twists and turns in this season, I think more so than what you got in season 1, just between the Hunters themselves. And I think for a show that season 1, I think is just brilliantly done, season 2 did not fail to disappoint with, I think, the expectations that a lot of the fans of Hunters had for season 2. And there's some things that are, fiction, and it's alternative history, if you will, that occur. It is fascinating the way that they go about bringing that to your TV screen, and I think it's so brilliantly done. And like it is kind of like an episode of what if, what if this did happen? How would it be perceived in that time era? How would it be perceived now if it were to happen? I think they did such a brilliant job with that, and just a job well done by the cast once again. And I do have to give a shout out to Tommy Bechtold from New Rockstars. He does make a cameo appearance in episode 7 of season 2, which was, I was like watching it. It was probably like 2 a.m. That episode comes on, and I'm just like, I literally Leo me. I was like, is that Tommy Bechtold? And then I went to his IMDb page, and don't you know it, he was in as a cameo in episode 7. I went to his Twitter too. He said, I play a really bad person in episode 7 of Hunters, and the season's out now, so go enjoy.
If I may bring something up, because between this and Bullet Train, I think it's a trend. What's with Logan Lerman, who's an American from California, being in Europe with long hair and a beard, speaking with a European accent, or speaking European languages? Guys, what's going on here?
I will say it makes more sense in this show than probably in Bullet Train.
Sure, but
because of how season 1 of Hunters comes to a close, and then kind of that in-between period, and then what picks up in season 2, it kind of makes sense. And I will say, he's a handsome devil with that long hair and the beard.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm not saying he's not, but at the same time, think of this guy now, and then think of that he was playing Percy Jackson and was in Perks of Being a Wallflower. I go, how do you get from being very American to be Russian, talk Russian, yada yada, and then in the first episode of the second season, he's like speaking French for like
called range
50% of his time on screen.
It's called range. And I do like as well that
type of range. It's more of a trend developing where he's just playing Europeans.
Well, I will say, I did look this up just because I was curious with the cast as well. I do like that the core cast is Jewish. Like everybody that's cast as a hunter. So that's very cool. I think the character development for each of the hunters as well from season 1 to season 2 is awesome. Like there's lots of like subplots between them that they're not in your face, but they help move the story along, and I like that aspect of it. You know, they're kind of in different situations that you're wondering how they got there, and then it's a really fun thing to kind of follow along with in the back of your mind while the true plot is moving forward. And I know we talked about it last week. We found out who was playing Adolf Hitler in this show. My goodness, man. Like, a performance by our guy. Like,
I'll have to watch it just for that alone.
He puts on a real world modern era take on what it would be like. And I was like jaw on the ground by how it, like, I don't know if he was method acting and like kind of getting in that headspace to do it, but my goodness, performance.
I hope not.
Unbelievable. Like, yeah, obviously. But what a performance there. I think, the cast and crew did a phenomenal job. And, I think the storytelling of this show in season 1 and season 2 is something that is just captivating, and it's something that's unique. Season 2 I thought was fantastic. I'm sad it's over. But I think they did a stand-up job of, following up a damn near flawless season 1.
I mean, no complaints here. I mean, it sounds like they rocked it out of the park,
It's something that I definitely think I could go back and watch a bunch and pick up on things that I may have missed. So that will probably happen, and hopefully we'll be able to get Dom on the show as well once he watches it, and all 4 of us just kumbaya together and talk about season 2. I'm excited for your overall thoughts on season 1 as well when you finish it, Dylan, because I can't wait. Because I feel it's one of those things, knowing what happens, I can't wait for that text message from you. It's going to be one of those moments like...
all caps.
Bruh. It's going to be like when I was texting Christian in live time watching Barbarian.
That was great.
But yeah, Hunter season 2. If you haven't seen season 1, go watch season 1, catch up, and then go watch season 2 because they do a fucking phenomenal job following up season 1. It's on Prime Video, not an ad. It's just a show that is just fucking awesome. It has a lot of StreamerSZN connections, obviously, with it being the first show we ever reviewed. And it's a job well done by the entire cast. So go watch it. And without any further ado, let's get to everybody's favorite segment. It is the streaming platform Multiverse News and Notes, brought to you by Dylan's favorite beverage of choice when he's watching his shows and movies. It's Kenwood Beer, Philadelphia's #1 light beer. I saw a tweet earlier this week, Dylan, that in 2023 we might see for the first time on the Kenny tracker Kenwood in New Jersey.
Yeah, because I have to go get it when I'm at work. Not at, but I have to make an excuse that I'm getting lunch, and then I grab some, and then I go bring it.
Well, boys, I got my fix in. It's looking like it's coming to New Jersey in 2023, which is very exciting. And if you guys are going to the Wells Fargo Center anytime soon for the Sixers, the Flyers, the Wings this Saturday for 215 Day, you guys can get Big Kenny's at the Wells Fargo Center as well, or go to kenwoodbeer.com and use that Kenny tracker to see who's got fresh Kenny's on tap in the Philadelphia area. Hopefully very soon in New Jersey as well. You got to be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. First thing I have here, guys, is... where did it go? It was in the group chat, that's why. The co-founder of the old Netflix Reed Hastings is stepping down as co-CEO after 2 decades. Not too sure if there was a follow-up here that comes from discussing film. No reason behind it from what I can see, but kind of a big deal after, 20 years on the job at Netflix, being the behemoth that it was and, still kind of continues to be. Your co-CEO stepping down.
That's pretty big.
Yep. I've got a fun one for y'all, though, that just came in about an hour ago.
Oh, it's recent.
So, according to Deadline, Warner Brothers is working on a limited series about famous silent film actor Buster Keaton, starring Rami Malek.
Wow, that's a good kid.
Which, if you look at a photo of them side by side,
Look alike.
you can very much see it. Kyle, if you can pull that up on your end, you will see.
Yeah, I'll put it in post for everybody too.
I'm down with that. I'm down with that.
Buster.
I know if anyone like Kyle's.
Oh yeah. Good grief.
Good.
Yeah. Wow.
Charlie Brown.
Golly.
Good grief.
Next thing I have from Netflix too, kind of a positive, I would say, from the business side of things. Dylan, you and I have talked about this a ton, and we've talked about it as a trio a little bit as well. In Q1 2023, Netflix has received 7.6 million new subscribers.
Jeez. Now, how much is it going to go down when they start password sharing?
Now, that was my thing when I saw that number, was how many of those 7.6 million are contributions from the password sharing crackdown and people just being like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna go subscribe, that way I don't lose my Netflix. I don't think it's a big chunk of that, but I would say a portion of that 7.6 could be from that.
I feel like, though, you could get, like, as it stands, you could get by. Like, if you were already borrowing it from someone, right? And the crackdown's coming, right? Like, they're gonna get you. They're gonna find you. I would just go over to the person's house and watch the occasional blockbuster TV show. Because in terms of like movie selection, I personally, this is a personal opinion, I find their selection lackluster.
Yeah, but what I was just about to say was HBO Max is better.
And yes,
yeah, like they've got a better collection of movies, and I think, and well, obviously part of the reason is because Netflix basically loans films from other companies. Hence, when those companies start making their own streaming services, then you have issues. And what we're seeing here is Netflix's internal catalog being diminished, and like, sure, they have a deal with Sony where it's like, congrats, you get Morbius.
Morbid time.
But the problem is Sony is extremely hit or miss with their movies. So, and with
so is Netflix.
And with Netflix's insistence on just, we're putting out so much stuff, which if anyone saw these are the movies we have coming in 2023 thing, like 2 of them piqued my interest. One of them, which we're all very interested in, is the Michael Fassbender, The Killer.
Yeah, that one I like.
And the second one being, for me, was the Julia Roberts, Ethan Hawke film that was at the end of it, directed by the man behind Mr. Robot. So
that's pretty neat.
That's pretty neat. And our Netflix rant indirectly gave us talk points for the segment. So full circle moment.
And then speaking more on Netflix, we got our first look this week at Damsel, the new Millie Bobby Brown project with Millie, Nick Robinson, and Angela Bassett. It releases on October 13th on Netflix.
Yeah,
I think more so it's an optics thing for me, just seeing Millie Bobby Brown kind of just continue in her journey of becoming a megastar, and kind of just shaking the typecasting of 11. So I think it's pretty cool for her, and I just enjoy her as an actress. I think she's really talented. So
To counter that, I'll just say maybe get out of the Netflix ecosystem because you're making Stranger Things, you're making Enola Holmes, now you're making this for Netflix. Can we see you're not in Netflix movies and not?
I think it'll
in
happen.
Netflix?
I think once. Great point. I think that'll happen once Stranger Things is over.
Sure, but I'm just saying that it's kind of telling how mostly everything she's done is attached to Netflix one way or another. Because if I pull up her filmography here,
Well, let's not forget she was a cameo on Grey's Anatomy when she was
sure,
even younger.
and God willing, we forget she was in the last 2 Godzilla films.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
But outside of those things, since Stranger Things, she's shown up in 2 Godzilla movies, 2 Enola Holmes films, Damsel next year, and Mariah Carey's Magical Christmas Special.
Hey. Shout out Mariah.
Wait, out on Netflix with oh, you're mine. I did. False alarm.
Damsel's kind of right up here on the precipice on the premise of what it is. The film follows a damsel who agrees to marry a prince, but discovers the royal family has recruited her as a sacrifice to a dragon to repay an ancient debt. Shrek meets House of the Dragon.
Sounds
Drag.
sounds like a bad Tinder date.
What? Swamp.
We got the new trailer for Scream 6.
Dude,
Yeah.
it might be a bad. I don't like the Scream franchise. All right?
Okay. No.
Uh-oh.
That's just a bad take. Like the first Scream film is one of the best films of the 90s. I'm sorry, but it simply is. And the fact that you're calling the Scream franchise bad, like, see,
I don't like it.
here's the thing.
What's the point?
I don't care that much for Scream 2 through 4. The new Scream last year, I feel like it was pretty good. Scream 1, pretty good.
You have to don't twist my words. I was calling it at the whole. I think it just got poop as it kept going on. That's all. I don't dislike the first one. I don't hate it. I'll still watch it. It's a good slasher film. It's a good like classic 90s film. It's on my list of Halloween movies that I watch.
Did you watch the most recent one?
I did not. I have no interest in watching the most recent because I watched 2, 3, 4 and I hated it.
From what I've heard too, because I haven't seen 5 yet, but on the same page as you, Dylan. Like 1, very good. 2 through 4, meh. But from what I heard from a lot of people with 5, it was like kind of like the bounce back.
It's just like the Saw movies. Like the first one's like not bad, second one's okay, and after that, it's just like whoever's watching this like likes watching.
And then we get Chris Rock.
Like whoever's watching this, you just have a sick infatuation with, like, as it's quoted, murder porn. That's what that kind
Masochism. Yeah. Everyone clap for masochism.
Right. I don't know. Like, I feel that way with anything. I felt that way with. I watched the Lord of the Rings show on Amazon. I'm a big Lord of the Rings guy, and I was just like, meh. I just, certain things don't do it. And sorry, Scream fans. Sorry, Christian. Apparently, I'll say it. The first one's not bad. You're right. It's an enjoyable film. After that, you lost.
I just like Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, so.
Is the 5th one worth watching? If you say
that's what I've been told. I've been told that the 5th one is like same like thought process that you and I have with 2 through 4. They said watch 5 and you'll be like, okay, Scream might be back.
Movie enthusiast to movie enthusiast. Is the 5th one worth watching?
In my opinion, yes, because it's a much similar movie to the first Scream,
okay,
where it's set in the town. You have a core cast of characters that kind of like mirrors a bunch of the people.
Yeah,
and you kind of go back to the same locations, but it also.
Is it a hard reset, by the way, or is it like...
No, it's not a hard reset. I won't even call it a reset at all, because just to give you an example, remember Randy in the first film?
Correct. Yes.
Like, one of the characters is like his niece or whatever.
Okay, gotcha.
So there's and then and and then Kyle, your girl and Jenna Ortega have also have a familial tie to the first film that I won't spoil. Wink, wink. But it's
we all
it's a film I enjoy a lot because, especially in the opening monologue, they like in the opening scene they kind of cape the Drew Barrymore thing in the first Scream, except they updated to make fun of modern
for the
horror
sake of the
films.
pod, Kyle and I will begrudgingly try Scream 5.
You'll like it more than Barbarian.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I can guarantee that.
I
pretty sure I can guarantee that much.
As much as Kyle did.
We do like to keep up to date with some of the Marvel comic book side of things too, to just kind of keep our eyes and ears peeled for future things. We've got from comicbook.com here that Black Panther will be relaunching with a new #1 this June from writer Eve L. Ewing and artist Chris Allen. The new series comes after the conclusion of John Ridley's run, which ends in March. So in this here, according to comicbook.com, they exclusively revealed that the new creative team on Black Panther is written by Eve L. Ewing, who wrote Ironheart and Monica Rambeau's Photon, and 2023 Marvel Stormbreakers, artist Chris Allen, Miles Morales' Spider-Man. They're relaunching with a new #1 issue later this year, and even though the opening story... Stupid ad just popped up. Here we go. Opening story arc is being kept under wraps. Comicbook.com spoke with Eve L. Ewing via email to get her thoughts on getting the Black Panther gig, how John Ridley's run will factor into her plans, and the types of threats that T'Challa will face and more. The promotional artwork looks crazy cool. I'm excited for that because, I think moving forward, you could see a lot from the MCU pull from future Black Panther runs to kind of develop Shuri as the Black Panther and see other things from Wakanda Forever move forward with the Black Panther mantle. So that's exciting there. We got our first look at Ted Lasso Season 3 this week as well. So that's pretty exciting. I've seen a lot of people talking about it's now streaming on Netflix. A lot of people having overwhelmingly positive thoughts and opinions. That 90s show is now streaming on Netflix.
I completely forgot that came out. Or was it?
I didn't realize it was coming out like now. But from every kind of, people that I follow and stuff like that, and people that review the stuff, pretty positive overall thoughts on it, which is exciting. I just need to see more feet up asses.
One thing I think I should bring up is so the BAFTA nominations were announced this morning, which is the British Academy of Film and Television or something like that. And a Netflix movie actually got the most nominations.
Whoa.
Which is the German language adaptation of All Quiet on the Western Front, which is currently on the streaming service, which has Daniel Bruhl in it, but he's not. But he plays a more supporting character. So it's a German language adaptation of the book. It topped the nominations with I think 13, and the next closest was 10. It'll be nominated for quite a few Oscars. Could win Best International Feature. Could be nominated for Best Picture.
I hope
so add that to the list with RRR of foreign films on Netflix we should watch.
Movie is probably in my top 10 war film.
The first one,
like the All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah, the 1930s one.
Yeah, no, I was referring to the German version, the most recent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I do like the older version. I read the book too. I just like.
Speaking of top 10s, we got tagged from our new creator, Jake Dippold, the new co-host of the Getting the Whole podcast, he put out his top 10 sports movies list, and I wanted to get your guys' opinions on his list.
Team Wolf.
He said this was tough, so I'll go from 10 to 1. Number 10, Remember the Titans. Number 9, We Are Marshall. Number 8, The Greatest Game Ever Played.
I was going to say, Golf Guy better have that one on there.
Number 7, The Sandlot. Number 6, Pains My Heart, Rudy. Number 5, Bagger Vance.
Bagger Vance.
Number 4, Bull Durham. Number 3, Moneyball.
Are you going to say the one I'm thinking of? Keep going.
Number 2, Rocky.
No, keep going.
And number 1, Miracle.
Oh, there's justice for this man. Yeah.
Your guys' thoughts on the list?
He went with a lot of sappy ones. I'm gonna be honest.
Miracle is on there. That's all I care about.
So, just to point out some he kept off.
42.
Basements.
So, in terms of boxing films, he could have done Raging Bull or Creed, which I personally think Creed's a better filling movie than Rocky, but that's something we can unpack at a different time. In terms of basketball movies, Hoop Dreams, Love and Basketball, Hoosiers.
Space Jam, Like Mike.
No, Christian, that's
the music video for Aaron Carter's critically acclaimed That's How I Beat Shaq.
No, dude, Hoosiers is a great... I forgot.
Hoosiers is a great one.
That's a good one.
Can I interest you in The Natural? Can I interest you in Caddyshack?
Wait. Is it Natural? Is that the one with Kevin Koch?
No, that's Field of Dreams.
Okay, gotcha.
The Natural is the one with Robert Redford, and
Thank you.
And lights go out through ball hitting lights.
Moneyball's
Caddyshack. Can I interest you in The Wrestler?
Mighty Ducks.
Sure, my ex. Can I interest you in a movie about pool called The Color of Money, directed by Martin Scorsese and starring Paul Newman and Tom Cruise? Can I throw that your way?
Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Can I show you White Men Can't Jump?
Yeah.
Other iconic film. And so I won't put this one in the top 10, but it's one I love a lot. It's on, well, it was on HBO. I think it's gone now. Maybe it's on Netflix. Bend It Like Beckham.
Great one.
Very fun. Like
the Air Bud franchise.
Get out.
Like I like his Moneyball pick. I'm fine with his
Moneyball's...
Rudy pick. I'm fine with his Rocky pick. Some stealth movies I would throw in there though. One's easier to find than the other. The first one is Ford versus Ferrari, which is a movie I love. I adored. It was nominated for Best Picture. Christian Bale, Matt Damon. True story. It's what got me interested in motor racing, but that's not here nor there at the moment. And then a 19 what year was it? It's a film called Grand Prix, and it's a film that was directed by John Frankenheimer, who is a what's the right way to put him? He's a director who did a lot of different movies during his time as a director.
Yeah.
He did films that people know more today, like Reindeer Games and Ronin.
Oh wow, really?
And then he did 50s and 60s political thrillers, such as 7 Days in May and The Manchurian Candidate. And then he did a little movie called Grand Prix, which this is kind of a lost film in time that's very hard to see, but it's a movie about basically a collection of F1 racers, but we're talking F1 in like its early inception. And what's crazy about it is like they're driving Monaco and stuff. Like they're driving actual cars. The actors are in cars. There's cameras on the cars. It's amazing footage. Yes, the story's a little thin, I will fully admit. And yes, it's 3 hours long. But the race footage is absolutely amazing. It's an amazing looking film. Like they're driving on the famous Monza oval, which for anyone who knows, knows F1 and motor racing, Monza is one of the oldest racetracks in the world. It celebrated its 100th anniversary this past year.
That's pretty old.
It's known as the Temple of Speed, and the Monza oval's known as one of the deadliest. Is known as one of the deadliest parts of that racetrack. That's no longer it's no longer raced on because it was 21-degree banking.
Jeez.
That's steep banking, and there was nothing more than a flimsy guardrail at the top. So if you went over the top, you were in the trees, crashing and dead in these old cars, which kind of happens in the film, but that's besides the point. So it's a movie I suggest people search out if they have the chance, because yes, it's not the most interesting movie in terms of story, but just solely for the race footage, it's very, very impressive.
I'll definitely
Considering the time it was made.
I will gladly look into it. I'm also, while you were explaining that, I was trying to make my top 10 sport movie list. So I was like, write this down.
We'll make our own and we'll put graphics out
Yeah.
on social. Also, can I interest you in The Big Lebowski?
Is Point Break considered a sports movie because they do extreme sports through the whole movie? If so, I raise you
It's
point.
a heist film. It's a heist film. It's a heist film that has a limited amount of sports.
Also, Invincible. That's on my top 10.
Yes, that counts.
But 42 has to be on a list too. That's one of my favorite just movies of all time.
Like, I feel like if we did what we truly thought were the best of the best and not trying to cater to have a bunch of different sports, it would just be a crap ton of baseball movies.
Valid. I feel like baseball is the one like sport that gets the most movies made about it in general.
Yeah.
But we'll have all of our top 10 lists on graphics that we'll put on social, and you guys can comment your top 10 in the comment section on YouTube, and we'll read your lists if you leave them. Next up, according to Deadline, we're getting another Tron movie. Tron Ares is in the works at Disney, with Jared Leto set to star. And apologies if I'm mispronouncing this, Joachim Roning set to direct. Filming will begin in August.
All the world to choose from. Tron's one of the coolest like base thing. Like there's so much cool source material. Like at the time when it first came out, it was like revolutionary. Like our dads were like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
And even the one that Disney made, I didn't like the movie per se, but the effects were cool at the time.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool. It's a cool concept.
I also highly recommend anybody who is a Tron fan go watch on Disney Plus. It's the show called Prop Culture. I'm sad it only got one season because it's a fascinating show. They do a whole episode on Tron, and it's an even deeper dive into how the whole movie was made, and they show you like original drawings and mock-ups for stuff. And the helmets from the original Tron, Dylan, you'll love this. They are literally hockey helmets.
I do like that.
So this makes me sad, but the best part of the last Tron movie was the Daft Punk score. Something tells me we're not getting a Daft Punk score.
Hey!
We're getting 30 Seconds to Mars, baby.
Is that confirmed?
Well, I was just saying because Jared Leto.
Oh.
He's like, I'm going to star and score this one.
So it's for me, it's the whole thing because Tron is so atmospheric by nature. If you're not getting the tech dudes, are we getting Hans Zimmer? Are we convincing him to do it? Are we going to Ludwig Goranson? Like, who are we going to? Are we going
Yeah.
to Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross?
A
Who
lot of
are
questions.
it's an interesting thing because yes, they'll be able to make it look good visually, and that's very likely. I'm more concerned about them just nailing on the part that'll pump up the visuals and the music because if we're being honest, Tron's not a movie about the story. It's just a movie where it's like, ooh, visuals, yee.
Yeah.
Special effect rule.
We do have great news from the Marvel front, though. Joe Locke, who this story has since been deleted. He got Feige'd. He revealed that filming for Agatha Coven of Chaos, for him at least, has started. And the director chair on the back of it says Agnes of Westview. A lot of Mayor of Easttown comparisons, and a lot of people starting to theorize that they're going to dive into more modern-esque shows like they did on WandaVision, but obviously a little bit more up to the times, picking up from the Modern Family episode of WandaVision and then continuing on in Agatha Coven of Chaos. But I am very excited for this show, to say the least.
Absolutely.
Run Rabbit Run, according to Deadline, is a horror film starring Sarah Snook. Will release on Netflix later this year.
Bought it before it even debuted at Sundance this weekend.
Hey-o. And then this came out like right before we started recording. More Batman things. We got the first trailer for Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham. It's going to be released on digital 4K and Blu-ray on March 28th. It's an animated Batman. It looks really cool, and obviously we're big Bat stans over here, but animated Batman, sign me up, because they almost kind of get creative freedom to do whatever the fuck they want.
That's true. I'm all for it. I saw recently as well on the subject of Batman that Mark Hamill said they always like call him and ask him to do Joker. And then, like, now that Kevin, or like, well, not, he's obviously gone, but like even before, like he would when they called, he'd be like, "Is Kevin Conroy Batman?" And they're like, "No," and he's like, "I don't want it."
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It kind of ruins my joke dream of a across the Jokerverse film where it's like we get Mark Hamill doing live action Joker and we get Troy Baker, and then we
That would be
get
sweet.
A Jared Leto joke thrown in there somewhere. And then we get, for some reason, someone dressed like Jack Nicholson, but isn't Jack Nicholson because Jack doesn't act anymore. But just the absolute fun idea of just having all of them just creating chaos.
Yeah. Also, to circle back on the 90s show, there is Numbies here from Rotten Tomatoes. For a show, like, Netflix has done this with the reboots, like Fuller House, which I enjoyed, but, it's kind of going to have that, like, family tropey type of stuff in it. For something as comfort show as that 70s show is, for that 90s show to have these scores is pretty impressive. So, based on 30 reviews here from critics on the tomato meter, it's got a 77%. And then the fan audience rating on 120 reviews is 74%. I think that's pretty solid for, one of those type of reboots for those type of shows. Alex Wolff has been cast in A Quiet Place Day One alongside Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn.
Sure.
And then we found out today that apparently Carol Baskin's dead husband is alive.
Supposedly.
The plot thickens.
So take that song back. Killed her husband. Just kidding. Like,
and then the final piece of big news, Monday night during Monday Night Football, we got the new trailer for The Mandalorian Season 3 injected straight into my veins. I can't wait. There's so much to, like, unpack from that. And then earlier today, we got the Season 3 directors, which will be Lee Isaac Chung, Rick Famuyiwa, Bryce Dallas Howard, Rachel Morrison, Peter Ramsey, and the GOAT himself, Carl Weathers. Big thing to take note here, no Dave Filoni and no Jon Favreau directing.
Which
I'm okay with it.
One thing I'd like to quickly unpack is, so first of all, Carl Weathers? Okay, yeah, sure. For those of you who don't know Lee Isaac Chung, which Kyle, do you know who that is?
I looked him up today.
The director of the Oscar-nominated film from 2020, Minari, which got really good reviews, and the grandmother in that film won the Best Supporting Actress Oscar. So,
Yeah,
good
Lee
for him.
Isaac Chung, Rachel Marson, and Peter Ramsey are new to directing The Mandalorian. And Peter Ramsey will also be doing, he's got directing credits for the live-action Ahsoka series, so that tells me Ahsoka might be popping up in Season 3 one way or another to kind of tie in that show, which is releasing later this year, into the Mandoverse even more. We all know Dylan, obviously, Mando started the way that this show's formatted back with Season 2. We all know Bryce Dallas Howard's the GOAT of directorial on this. If it's not Favreau and Filoni, you want a Bryce Dallas Howard episode, so I'm excited to see what she's going to unpack in this. And I think her episode is going to be that big kind of duel between Mando and homegirl that I'm blanking on her name.
I don't
Katie her character. What the hell
Leroy
is her?
Jenkins?
know. That's a name I haven't heard of for quite some time.
It's
I don't know. I haven't watched Mandalorian in a while. I'm kind of a little rusty. I was just gonna say, I hope that I can go.
Bo-Katan, Katie Sackhoff's character.
Oh Jesus! I'm hoping I can go for 3, Kyle, in guessing the Mandalorian seasons.
To be honest, unpopular opinion, I don't really care about the Mandalorian.
That's fine.
Doesn't do anything for me.
I think Dylan and I have an added enjoyment of Mando because it's not, lightsaber go pew pew and.
I'm a simp for Pedro Pascal. That's
that too.
Probably where it stems from, and then it's Star Wars, so it kind of just goes there.
And then we did the whole Clone Wars thing. So.
Kyle's right though. I do like when Star Wars projects aren't just, oh, your last name's Skywalker, which I didn't necessarily like that aspect of it. Kyle knows that. I made that very clear. I also predicted that we're going to do that because Star Wars, for some reason, until recently, can't stray away from the same two things, which is crazy. You have this whole universe, and they're like, I'm going to do the same 3 things over and over again. But that's just lazy screenwriting.
Yeah, and I think we just enjoy because I went on the deep dive afterwards, but the Clone Wars tie-ins and how that kind of helps build out things. But I'm excited for Mando Season 3. I think there's going to be a lot to unpack for this season. It comes out March 1st on Disney+. I think there's going to be a ton of levels to it. They're going to Mandalore, which is fucking wild. I'm excited to see that kind of in the live action view. We saw the Armorer again, which is exciting in the trailer, and there's going to be a shit ton of Mandos in Season 3, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah, he's going to have to awkwardly go to the planet and be like, I'm sorry, I grabbed this sword.
I did not mean to pick it up.
I do not want this leadership responsibility.
Way too early. You just give me a simple yes or no. Does Darth Maul show up?
Huh.
Because we know Darth Maul loves showing up in Mandalore.
No clue.
I'm going to say yes, just for the shits and giggles.
I'll go against you. I'll say no. I think they might hint at him or maybe do a little cameo, a small, not cameo, but not cameo.
Just like a name drop.
I don't know if they'll tangibly show him.
Give me spider leg Darth Maul in live action.
Can't show the
Give me General Grievous.
Is he in jail? The actual dude who did the stunts for Darth Maul? I thought he got arrested or something.
I don't know.
One of the original guys who played in Star Wars for because they for Darth Maul, I know they didn't use he's an actor, but they just used the stunt guy as well because he said one word the entire movie, so they just painted him up and were like, you're gonna do all the stunts and crap, which he did. But I thought I got arrested.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm excited for Mando Season 3, March 1st, Disney Plus. It's going to be a big old day on this show for us. We'll be, leading up to the preseason of that as it gets closer as well. But anything else that I may have missed, boys?
On Amazon Prime, I do know if you liked Season 1, The Legend of Vox Machina, which is a D&D themed show, is coming back with a new season, I think tomorrow. So
That's sick. I'll have to check that out.
it's pretty cool, actually. I dabble in D&D every once in a while.
Same.
Recently. So the show's pretty cool. They have the whole... I'm not into the whole, like, watching it and podcast stuff. I know it's like the Matt Mercer and Company campaign, and it's... that they're voice acting like they would in the campaign. They're voice acting their characters in the show, and it follows one of their campaigns. My brother would know more than me, but it's pretty interesting.
As I've been saying over the past few shows, watch Slow Horses on Apple TV. Watch it. It's
You
fun.
heard the man.
It's so fun. It's so fun. Gary Oldman's so funny in it.
He's the goat.
Wait a second. Gary Oldman's in this show?
Yes.
It's on Apple TV?
Gary Oldman.
No. Say no more, my friend.
All right, Kyle Gray, you now have to start watching Slow Horses, and then we can do it on the pod. Because
Fair.
trust me, you're gonna love this show. Dylan, it is 2 6-episode seasons. Each season is based on a different novel.
Ooh.
Because it's basically a spy show that's based on a series of novels, and each season is going to be a different novel. So there's 2 seasons out. Each of them are 6 episodes. They're like 40 minutes to an hour long each. It's fun. Gary Oldman's hilarious. Olivia Cook's in the first season.
Oh, nice. I'm not either.
Is it Olivia Cook or is it the other one?
It's Olivia Cook. I just Googled it. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Kyle, get on it because I know Dylan's going to get on it. And we can talk about this on the pod because it's fun. It's so much fun.
There you have it.
Actor that I love to watch his Gary Oldman. I'm not even gonna I'm not gonna be around the bush. Gary Oldman is one of the actors in my opinion. I love the man. He's able to transform himself. I'm sure he does that in this role, and he's played so many things effortlessly. So
there you have it. And you guys can leave your reviews in the comment section on YouTube, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. Make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN, Twitter, Instagram. Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola. Follow Christian on Twitter at TheWiz_PHI. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever the hell you get your podcasts. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. And Dylan, say the line.
the line is in those reviews on YouTube, which you're going to be subscribing to and leaving comments and liking it. You're going to be telling us what to watch next. Kind of what Christian just did with Slow.
He just laid it out. He gave you a template.
Basically, you just got to get our attention. You got to tell me there's an actor that I like. I've said the same 5 names over and over again. So if you can find the show with one of those people in it, I'm golden. So yeah, let us know what show or movie to watch next.
And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Leave those likes, comments. Be a friend, tell a friend to subscribe to the channel. It's youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. Get us to 1,000 subscribers. We want Dylan dressing up for Comic-Con this summer. Let's make it happen. And of course, go get your merch. PHI Apparel Company. They're the best in the game. StreamerSZN merch is live. Hoodies and shirts. We got new stuff in the works coming up soon as well. So go to phiapparel.co. Use code Underground. You get 10% off your order on any and all merch orders. It's the most effective and direct way to support us. So go get your merch. Tag us, tweet at us when you get your merch. We'll share it on our socials and help us, keep this thing chugging along by getting your merch. But with that being said, this has been another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Dylan, for Christian, I'm KB. We're going to go try to avoid a zombie apocalypse. But until next time, see ya!